Hey guys, I'm Nicole Byram, and thank you so much for joining me today on the Remade Living Free book chapter overview videos. So today we are up to chapter 7. So 7 of 9. So guys, can you believe it? We've made it this far. All right, so chapter 7, one of my favorites. I know I say that like almost every single time, but I really am so passionate about chapter 7 of my book, Remade Living Free. So when I was writing this book, I, of course, thought through the content and the different areas that I wanted to touch on. And the content of chapter 7 is something I am so passionate about. So for years, I have been um, the group leader of our women's recovery group at my job. And a huge thing that we touch on a lot is relationships and having standards and choosing wisely who you date and who you choose to get into a relationship with. And it is like I'm always pushing them, just like, okay, you think your standards are good here? No, you got to like put them way up here. And we talk about that. And so that is what chapter 7 is so much about, is about not compromising. And I spend a lot of time talking about what that looks like in relationships. And yep, I even go there as far as talking about what that looks like for sex. And I don't shy away from much, you guys, but it's just such a necessary thing. So definitely that is a huge part of the book, or the chapter, I'm sorry. And one of my favorite things about the chapter also is that one of my very good friends from college, one of my best friends from college, shares a little bit of her story with this as well. And just the idea of, okay, I'm going to choose, despite what my past may have been, I'm going to choose now to abstain from sex and honor God, honor my future husband, honor myself, honor my body, all of that. And just kind of her journey with that and what that did for her life and her relationship with God. So she shares, and it's amazing. But the overall theme of chapter 7 is all about not compromising. So, of course, in our relationships, everything I just said is super important and a huge part of that chapter. But ultimately, it's not compromising with how we're supposed to live, how God wants us to live. And I talk about Moses and when he came down from Mount Sinai and the people who said they were, love God and enter into this covenant relationship with him. Moses comes down the mountain, and not to spoil it for you, but they're bowing down to an idol. And so I talk about that and just what that looks like in our lives and how we sometimes, a lot, trade the things of God. We trade the things that he wants for us for like shiny, hollow things of this world that like in the moment look really good. And so I talk about that. It's a huge part of the chapter. And I talk about the old covenant and what that looks like. So again, I kind of go back to the days of Moses. I explain a little bit about that, but then I also explain how we are under a new covenant and the covenant of grace in Jesus, and like what he has done for us. So, kind of explain the difference with that. And I talk also about just kind of like understanding like what it is we really truly trade away when we trade the things of God for the things of this world. And in Jesus, he is our protector and our defender among so many other things, our provider. And so I kind of give a glimpse of what, just a little part of like what that is. And so I loved writing that part. I kind of use a C.S. Lewis quote in there, that I'm not going to say. I almost said it, but I'm like, no, I'm going to wait. But that quote is probably one of my all-time favorite quotes for sure, like my top one or two quotes that I have like in the book. Actually, the very ending quote of the book is probably my favorite quote of all time. So that's number one in this one. The C.S. Lewis one is number two. So, but yeah, it's just such a such a big part of my heart for what I want women, especially, to know when it comes to living their lives for God. And so, yeah, I know that was just kind of a brief rundown. Hopefully, that all like fit together and made sense. But yeah, chapter 7, no compromising. It's a good one. It's one of, I think, I don't know, I firmly believe like I don't care who you are. Every single woman needs to read that chapter. Every teenage girl needs to read that chapter. I feel like seriously that passionately and that strongly about it. Um, but yeah, thanks so much for giving me your time. And just as always, you can find the book Remade Living Free at Amazon, paperback or Kindle version. You can check me out at NicoleByram.com. Follow my blog. I love writing that thing. So yeah, get on there and check those out. And I have a 5-minute word podcast on there. You can find that anywhere you get your podcast, but on my website, it's under the media section. So feel free to check that out too. As always, do all the things, like, subscribe, share, all of that. Especially with anybody who you think could benefit, could be blessed by the book, by these videos, even. Just share it all. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. And I will catch you next time. Chapter 8, we are getting there. Chapter 8 is about abundant life, life to the fullest. And you're going to want to hear about that one too. So come back next week and I will see you then.